in 1958, 1962 and 1970. He's also credited with scoring a world record 1,281 goals in 1,363 career appearances. Ladies and gentlemen, as the whole sporting world mourns the loss of one of its icons, we invite you to celebrate his life and achievements with a minute's applause, which will end on the referee's whistle.
Fucking go!
Scoring for Rovers, number 23, Dack!
Come on! Inside. We've got Bradley, Dack.
Double Rovers substitution, replacing number 3, Harry Pickering, 30, Jake Garrett, 7, Tayo Edom, 27, Lewis Travis.
Touching you! Sweet Caroline, up the time never seems so good, so good, so good. Still all seems fine. Reaching out, touching me, touching you. Sweet Caroline, up the time never seems so good, so good, so good. We've got Dack in attack, we got Bradley Dack, we've got Dack in attack, we got Bradley Dack, we've got Dack in attack, we got Bradley Dack.
So, Blackburn Rovers back to winning ways, thankfully, at home after a couple of poor performances at home against Preston and Middlesbrough. Thankfully, did not make it 5 losses in 6 today. Stopped the trend, and yeah, I mean, was not a great performance today from either side, in truth. I think Cardiff were probably the worst side I've seen at Ewood this season, to be honest. I think it was quite clear from minute 1 they were coming for a 0-0, and I can hardly blame them. Obviously the position they're in and whatnot, coming to 3rd in the league, to be expected really, I guess. But we didn't do ourselves many favours today in terms of the performance either. We probably should have took this side to the sword really, and we made it a lot harder work than it should and could have been, and left the door open for Cardiff to potentially nick an equaliser via a corner or a set piece or whatnot. Some really nervy moments at the end of the game there in particular. And even, in the first half, if it isn't for a last second ditch tackle from Jake Garrett, a brilliant challenge, takes the player out in the box, wins the ball ultimately, and he's on a yellow card and, saves us because the player would have scored in that position. There's no doubt about it. A really sloppy pass from Joe Rankin Costello. And, after his month where he's won player of the month, today he looked back to normal, unfortunately. The Joe Rankin Costello versus Stoke, I think he's probably just a bit leggy, when you think about it. He's barely kicked a ball for 2 years, he's only had cameo appearances under Mowbray, and even obviously up until, December, wasn't getting a look in under JDT. He come out after that Norwich game saying he was, feeling it at 70 minutes and kind of got his second win sort of thing. So maybe it's caught up to him. Hopefully this 2 weeks off will do him some good. He was on the pitch at the end of the game, clapping the fans and whatnot, so it can't be too serious. So hopefully it was just cramp. But yeah, I mean, just a word on Bradley Dack. Obviously, I give Jake Garrett his credit. He won the Peter Jackson Jeweller Man of the Match. With Bradley Dack, he won the Sky Bet Man of the Match, and equally as good a performance from him. Probably the best performance. Actually, not probably. I would say definitely the best performance since returning to the side almost a year ago now. Dack is back, I guess. He's, this month off has done him a world of good. He's actually able to start matches now and play a full 90 as he did today. He's actually able to, even in the games before this, get 70 minutes out of him. And he's shown today why he's quality, why he was such an important player for this team before his injury, and how if he can get back to his best in this second half of the season, because, we do need him to step up right now because Diaz is struggling. It's been a while since he got a goal in the league. I'm going to say it was Huddersfield at home. Just a goal in general, it was West Ham away. So it has been a while now. So yeah, we need players like Dack to step up right now because, Sam Gallagher isn't going to do it. Ryan Edges chipped him with a goal against Middlesbrough, but that's his second of the season. You can't rely on him too much. Dolan's injured, so, we were crying out for someone just to step up today and put the ball in the back of the net, and that's exactly what Bradley Dack did. Wasn't afraid to shoot like so many players are for our side. Shoots and gets his reward. It takes a massive deflection. Well, not a massive deflection. It would have been on target, but, it was ultimately going straight at the keeper. But the deflection sends it to the keeper's right, and there's nothing he can do about it. So, yeah, you create your own luck, and if you don't shoot, you ain't going to score at the end of the day. And fair play to Bradley Dack. But not only that, his work off the ball was running non-stop. You could tell he was determined, and the fans were giving him his due, clapping him, cheering him on as he were running round and pressing off the ball. And also his interplay, some triangles were really nice between him, Morton and Hedges in particular. Really good bits of play, one-touch stuff, and Bradley Dack can fit this system with JDT. JDT wants the one-touch, two-touch football, and ultimately Bradley Dack can provide that. His first-time passing is probably the best we've got in the squad, really. I wouldn't think of anyone else, to be honest, other than maybe Tyler Morton, who can pass a ball first time, or maybe Buckley. But in terms of first time, I think Dack's the best passer of the ball in a first time touch and stuff like that. Showed his class today and showed that he can still perform at this level ultimately. And I'm very happy that, JDT has managed to find a way for him to fit into this team, and he has fit right in and got his rewards today after a couple, I'd say, underwhelming performances. I'd say against Middlesbrough in particular, he didn't do a great deal at all. But obviously, for after the 55th minute mark or whatever, we were down to 10 men and he were having to defend in his own half, which is obviously isn't his game. But even in the first half of that game, he didn't really offer much. But today, he was definitely one of the men of the match for sure. In terms of Cardiff, yeah, I've really lacklustre. I can certainly see why they're down there. I would definitely be worried if I was them. There weren't a great deal to vlog about either, so apologies for the lack of content, but it was a rather boring match because Cardiff made it a boring match, set up in a 5-4-1 from the get-go, and like I said, I can't blame them. They're coming to third in the league and they're fighting for their lives. They're going to take any points they can get. They could have quite easily shithoused to 1-0 today or shithoused to draw. And when you're down there, you got to do everything you can ultimately. It's so open down there. There's so many teams who could well go down. Huddersfield are starting to pull the way out now. So they've definitely got reason to be concerned. But yeah, ultimately I think with the game being on Sky as well, it did kind of kill the whole mood around the game. The early kick-off, it felt like there was only 3/4 of the fans there that we usually get. Some of them maybe indulging a bit too much last night. I know I did. And got to Rovers on 3 hours sleep, but still dragged myself there. But I wouldn't have been surprised for more than a few fans to just think, I'll watch it on Sky, I won't bother getting down for the early kick-off at 12. And obviously with Cardiff as well, fair play to any of those fans who made the journey. I assume you were getting up at like 5 a.m. or something daft to drag yourselves up to Blackburn to watch your team who are performing so poorly at the minute. And to the couple hundred that were there, fair play to you. But yeah, ultimately I think on the balance of play, we probably deserved the win. We definitely didn't deserve to lose it anyway. Cardiff can maybe feel a bit hard done by. They didn't get a draw. But ultimately a brilliant last minute tackle from Garrett saves us from conceding. And a wicked deflection kind of obviously goes in our favour. So yeah, I can understand if Cardiff fans are maybe feeling a bit hard done by, but by hook or by crook, we needed a win today. And, we stay in third no matter what after that win, which is brilliant. Going into the January transfer window, we've got a 2-week break now before we have Rotherham away and 4 really good games to, get some points under our belt and hopefully increase that distance between us and 7th place. Obviously the ultimate goal is to make playoffs. And yeah, Rotherham, Bristol away, Wigan and Blackpool, Blackpool at home and Wigan. I would be wanting 9 points from those games. We're not going to draw any, judging from obviously our form. Just our entire season, not even our form. So I would like 9 points. I can accept us slipping up with a loss against Bristol away or Wigan at home. But I think Rotherham away and Blackpool at home have to be 3 points, both of those games. And then the other 2, I think we have to win at least one of them personally. These are the games where if you want to be making playoffs, you have to, at least take 17. You have to at least beat 3 of those 4 teams. It is the championship at the end of the day. It's, it's not going to be easy as it looks. But when you're looking at them on paper, Wigan are bottom, Blackpool are second bottom, and Rotherham and Bristol are just above the relegation spots. It's a really nice run. And we should fancy ourselves. We are a bit light at the minute in terms of squad depth, but these 4 teams are scrapping for their lives, and that makes it harder in some sense. But ultimately I'd rather be playing them now than at the end of the season when they really are fighting for their lives. But they're all in obviously really poor form at the minute, and we're getting them at the right time. So yeah, I'd say definitely 9 points needed from the next 4, and I'd be more than happy with that. And then we go into Watford away, which will be a tough game. And, hopefully we've got our best team back by that point and we're ready and raring to go. Hopefully the likes of Dolan and whatnot are back. And yeah, probably getting these teams at the right time when we're a bit thin. And obviously by the time we get to Watford, we should probably have a few signings in with January as well. So yeah, ultimately, I talked about in the last in my last vlog of where I'd like to strengthen. So check that out if you're interested. But yeah, really positive to take from today is just obviously getting the 3 points and move on to the next one. Put the points in the bag, as Tony Mowbray would say, and distance ourselves from Tony Mowbray's Sunderland. But yeah, on to Norwich in the FA Cup, if anyone's interested really, but ultimately it's Rotherham away, isn't it, the next one, and I shall be attending that game, I believe, so watch out for that vlog. But yeah, make sure to leave your comments, make sure to leave a like, and as I said, apologies for the lack of content on this vlog, but yeah, it wasn't a thriller by any means, and God help anyone who was a neutral and chose to watch that game today, because yeah, I think I'd be cancelling my Sky subscription after that one.